Hi, and welcome back to Parent Pride. Today we're going to talk about financial aid and having a good understanding of what that looks like for you all for the academic year. I'd like to introduce you to my colleague, Mike Keene, who's going to be voicing this presentation for you.
Thanks, Leisha. As Leisha mentioned, my name is Mike Keene. I am the Assistant Vice Provost for Financial Aid here at LMU, and I'm happy to have this opportunity to present key information about financial aid awards. In particular, we'll be reviewing the different types of aid awards, how to ensure those aid awards are credited to the student's account, and how to ensure that the student remains eligible each year for each award. We'll also briefly touch on billing and payment options, but please see the presentation from my colleagues in the Student Accounts Office for more information about billing. The free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA, is required for consideration for all federal, state, and LMU need-based aid. If you have not yet filed the FAFSA, it's not too late. Although all LMU need-based grant aid has already been allocated, you may still wish to be considered for federal or state aid. In general, all students who file the FAFSA will be eligible for at least a small federal loan and LMU work study. As we'll discuss a bit later in this presentation, each year in order to ensure eligibility for need-based aid. The 2020-2021 FAFSA will be available beginning on October 1st, 2019. If you are eligible to do so, we encourage you to utilize the data retrieval tool, which is provided by the Department of Education and automatically populates the FAFSA with income and tax information directly from the IRS, as long as you have already completed your tax return prior to completing the FAFSA. One quick note about your students' financial aid awards. Students who have made a commitment deposit to LMU should rely on PROWL for all information about their awards and financial aid tasks and requirements. Prospective students viewed their awards and task information on the application status page, but PROWL is where students who are enrolling at LMU will take action on their awards, both this year and in each subsequent year. Now to the different types of awards. Your student's financial aid award may include one or more of the following award types: federal grants, state grants, institutional grants and scholarships, federal loans, institutional loans, and work study. We'll review each of these award types. Federal and state grants use the information on your FAFSA to determine eligibility and are free aid, which does not need to be repaid. The federal Pell Grant and federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant are based on your expected family contribution. The Cal Grant is based on the income and assets you report on the FAFSA, your family size, and the student's high school GPA. You must file the FAFSA each year to be eligible for these awards, and if the information on the FAFSA, such as your income, changes significantly in any future year, your Pell or Cal Grant may be reduced or eliminated. Eligible students may receive Pell Grants for up to 6 years or 12 semesters. Eligible students may receive Cal Grant funding for up to 4 years or 8 semesters. Students may receive prorated amounts for each of these grants if they are enrolled less than full-time, but very few LMU students enroll less than full-time. Institutional scholarship recipients are selected by undergraduate admission during the application and admission process. These scholarships include the Trustee, Presidential, Arrupe, Achievement, Hill, Levy, Jesuit at Marymount High School, Weingart, and Raise scholarships, as well as other programs like the African American and Latino Alumni Association scholarships and the Kilp and McKay scholarships. Students who have received an institutional scholarship are eligible for that funding for up to 4 years or 8 semesters. Be aware that certain scholarships, including the Trustee, Presidential, Arrupe, and Jesuit at Marymount High School scholarships, have a GPA requirement of a 3.0 GPA. The Hill Scholarship requires a 3.2 GPA for renewal. More information about the terms and conditions of these scholarships is available on our website and will be communicated directly to students during the enrollment process. In some cases, as with the Hill Scholarship, merit scholarships may also have a financial need component. In those cases, students must file the FAFSA each year to ensure continued eligibility. All institutional scholarships require full-time enrollment, 12 or more units each term, for eligibility, and institutional scholarships are not prorated for less than full-time enrollment. LMU grants and LMU awards are awarded by the Financial Aid Office based on the information on your FAFSA. You must file the FAFSA each year to be eligible to receive these awards. As with the Pell and Cal grants, LMU grants may be reduced or eliminated in subsequent years if your expected family contribution on the FAFSA increases significantly. However, Students who lose LMU grant aid in future years always have the opportunity to file a financial aid appeal for reinstatement of that grant aid. As with institutional scholarships, LMU grants and LMU awards are available for up to 8 semesters, require full-time enrollment, and are not prorated for less than full-time enrollment. Federal direct student loans are offered directly to the student based on the information on the FAFSA. Most first-year students are eligible to borrow up to $5,500 from the Federal Direct Loan Program between the subsidized direct loan, which does not accrue interest while the student is enrolled at least half time, and the unsubsidized direct loan, which does accrue interest during enrollment. These loans have no cosigner requirement and do not involve a credit check. In order to be eligible to receive federal direct loans, students must be enrolled in at least 6 units, and repayment begins 6 months after graduation, withdrawal from the university, or a drop below half-time enrollment. The federal direct student loan interest rate is fixed for the lifetime of the loan, but the initial rate can vary depending on when the loan is disbursed. For loans disbursed during the 2018-19 academic year, the interest rate was 5.05%, in addition to an origination fee of just over 1%. The Department of Education updates those rates over the summer, so stay tuned to communication from the Financial Aid Office about the interest rate for 2019-20. If your student intends to utilize the federal direct student loans, she will need to accept them through PROWL and complete 2 requirements, entrance counseling and a master promissory note on the studentloans.gov website prior to receiving the aid. In addition to the federal direct student loans, LMU offers institutional loans to certain students with unmet financial need. Those include the LMU California loan, which has a 0% interest rate, and the LMU Burns loan, which has a 1% interest rate. These loans are typically limited to amounts between $2,000 and $3,000. Unlike the federal direct student loans, these loans require a cosigner and are managed by ECSI, a separate loan servicer. Students who accept an institutional loan in PROWL will need to complete separate requirements from the federal direct student loans in order to receive this aid. These requirements will be emailed to the student within 2 to 3 days of accepting the loan in PROWL. For more information about the California or Burns loan, you may contact the Institutional Loan Office in the Student Financial Services Office. The federal government also makes available a loan program intended for parents of dependent students called the Parent Plus Loan. Parents of dependent students are eligible to borrow from the Parent Plus Loan Program in any amount up to the cost of attendance minus other aid the student has received. However, unlike the federal student loans, the Parent Plus loan does include a credit approval component. Parents of dependent students who wish to utilize a Parent Plus loan may apply directly through the studentloans.gov website, and in order for the student to receive the funds, the parent or parents must complete a separate Plus loan master promissory note. As with the federal student loans, the interest rate for the Plus loan is fixed during the life of the loan, but the initial rate varies depending on the academic year in which the loan is disbursed. For Parent Plus loans disbursed during the 2018-19 academic year, the interest rate was 7.6%, along with an origination fee of 4.248%. Those rates and fees are likely to change for the 2019-2020 academic year over the summer, so stay tuned to communication from the LMU Financial Aid Office. If you and your student filed the FAFSA, you should have seen a work study award in the financial aid package. This award, which can come from either the Federal Work Study Program or the LMU Work Program, ranges from $2,000 up to $3,200 and means the student is eligible to earn up to that amount from on-campus work during the coming academic year. It is the student's responsibility to look for a job, although students are well supported during that process, and be hired into a work-study eligible position. Students typically work 8 to 10 hours per week and earn a regular paycheck, which they can either apply to their student account or use for their own personal or miscellaneous expenses. You'll hear much more about the on-campus work process from my colleagues in Career and Professional Development and Student Employment Services. At LMU, all students who file the FAFSA are offered a work-study award. There are a few other types of financial aid awards. Outside scholarships include those awarded by parent employers, community organizations, charitable groups, and other outside entities. Generally, these organizations will send a check to LMU with the scholarship disbursement. Those checks can be sent to the Financial Aid Office or the Student Accounts Office, as long as the student name and university ID number are included on the check. Outside scholarships must be reported to the Financial Aid Office, so that we can administer the aid award in accordance with all federal, state, and institutional rules, but only in rare cases do those outside funds affect the student's aid award otherwise. During the admission and enrollment process, your student may have been offered a scholarship provided by either an academic department or the LMU Alumni Association. Generally, the terms and conditions of these scholarships are provided to the student by the department or association. Review those carefully and ensure you understand the requirements for renewal. Last, in addition to the federal and institutional loans discussed previously, you may choose to utilize a private or alternative loan. These are made available by outside lenders, and because these loans typically have worse interest rates and less flexible repayment options than the federal loans, they should be the option of last resort for most students and families. If you wish to utilize a private or alternative loan, please contact our office and a member of our student lending team will advise you on the application process and ensure that the student has maximized all other aid resources. Students must meet a number of requirements to ensure that all financial aid awards are renewed each year. This includes filing the FAFSA each year to ensure eligibility for need-based awards and meeting any GPA requirements for merit scholarships. Students must be enrolled full-time to receive all institutional aid awards and at least half-time for most federal and state awards. In addition, students must meet satisfactory academic progress standards for all awards. This includes maintaining a 2.0 cumulative GPA and completing at least 2/3 of the units attempted in each term. During the admission and enrollment process, you may have received a notification that your FAFSA record was selected by the Department of Education for a process called verification. When a FAFSA is selected for verification, the Department of Education requires that LMU collect information from students and families that substantiates the information provided on the FAFSA. It is very important to complete verification as soon as possible. Until it is complete, no federal or state aid can be dispersed to the student's account. Specific document requirements needed to complete the verification process are posted to the student's Prowl account and can be submitted directly to the financial aid office. While eligibility for financial aid awards are determined by the financial aid office, billing and payments are managed at LMU by the Student Accounts Office. The first bill for fall tuition, mandatory fees, and room and board if the student is living on campus will be sent in early July. Students who have accepted all awards they intend to use through Prowl and who have completed loan requirements will see this aid reflected on their bill in a memo status or an anticipated credit against the bill. Additional questions about billing and payments may be directed to the Student Accounts Office. Please know that you may contact us at any point with questions about financial aid. However, note that once a student is enrolled at LMU, their financial aid records are protected by the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, or FERPA, and we are able to share only limited details about financial aid awards unless the student has specifically consented to release other information. We look forward to welcoming your family to LMU. Go Lions!